Today we're checking out these Barricade Access power running boards for the 2019 and newer Silverado 1500 Crew Cab. If you want your Silverado to be easier to get in and out of, but you still want the truck to look clean and uncluttered down the sides when you're driving or parked, this is a really smart upgrade that's definitely worth considering. These boards are all about convenience with a cleaner look. They're going to automatically deploy when you open the door and then retract when you close it. So you get a proper step height for getting in and out, and then they tuck away so the truck keeps that tighter factory style profile. Barricade equipped these boards with an anti-pinch safety feature, which is a nice detail on a powered step because it's designed to stop if it meets any resistance to make sure nobody gets hurt hopping in or out. For a crew cab truck that sees daily use, a combination of easy access, clean looks, and a safety-minded operation is exactly why you would want something like this, and you would choose a power running board over just a basic fixed running board. When it comes to the construction on this, you are getting high-quality extruded 6063 aluminum running boards with a durable matte black finish and a 660-pound maximum load capacity. That means these are built to feel solid underfoot without flexing or bending, and they're going to hold up to real-world truck use, while keeping a rugged black finish that looks really clean and matches the rest of the exterior trim. As far as pricing goes on this, it's coming in right in the low 1000s price range. That's a solid value for a powered set that retracts out of sight when you're not using them, because you're paying for everyday convenience and that cleaner look that a fixed step just can't offer. Now, when it comes to the install on this, it's gonna get rated a 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, and you can have this done in just 2 hours of your time. So let's head on out to the shop. We're going to give you a detailed walkthrough of exactly how this install process goes.
Tools required for this install include a ratchet, scissors or diagonal cutters, clip remover tool, flathead screwdriver, some zip ties and zip tie clips, an extension, 7, 10, and 13 millimeter sockets, and a 5 millimeter Allen socket. What's up guys? Today we're installing electric side steps on our Silverado, so let's get started. So now the first thing I've done is laid out all of my mounting brackets and my hardware. Now on each of these brackets, you're gonna have 2 bolts with flat washers going into threaded holes on the underside of the body. And on one on each bracket, you're gonna have to put in this bolt plate into one of the open holes. We've got retainer clips that we're gonna put onto the studs to hold them in place while we put our brackets onto our studs. So now I'm at the front driver's side here. We're gonna work on this one first. I've got a threaded hole at the bottom here that we're gonna use, and then I've got 2 circle holes that just go into the body that I'm gonna be installing our bolt plate into. So I'm gonna take the retainer clip, slide that on a few threads, angle that into the frame, and then push that retainer clip all the way on. We'll do the same thing for the bigger hole. And then we can grab our mounting bracket. Now these are all going to be stamped. For the driver's side, we have LF for left front, LM and LR for the middle and rear. Same thing on the passenger side. Slide that onto your studs. Throw a flat washer and a nut on each of the studs. And then grab a bolt with a flat washer for that bottom hole going into the threaded hole. And then you can grab a 13 millimeter socket and start tightening all of these down. And then repeat the same process for the rest of your brackets. So now with our brackets installed, I'm gonna hop into the interior and start with our wiring. We've got a couple panels that we need to pop up. We have a grommet underneath the carpet that we're gonna be running our connector through, so we need to get access to that. So now I'm gonna start on this driver's seat trim. We're just gonna get under it and lift up, pop off the clips, and then we can get this piece of our door sill And now this piece connects all the way up to here. So we're gonna pull backwards to pop this out of place. Now next we're gonna go back behind our brake pedal. We have this little clip that's holding our carpet in, so we're gonna pop that off so we can pull our carpet back a good bit. So we're just gonna spin it to the left until we can get our fingers behind it, and then you can just pull it out, and now we can pull our carpet back more.
So now we're gonna hop up into the engine bay. We've got our harness that we're gonna grab power from the battery with, and then this white connector is gonna go through a grommet, through the firewall, and into the interior. Now it's gonna be a lot easier to do this from the engine bay side than it is from under the dashboard. So we have a grommet right behind our coolant reservoir that you should drill a hole through to pass this through. Since we're just doing this for demonstration purposes, I'm not gonna drill a hole in that grommet. I'm just gonna pop it through the firewall so we can run our wire through just to demonstrate it.
So right down here on the driver's side, this is the grommet that we're gonna be going through. So you can poke your hole through here to pass your wire through. Once again, for demonstration purposes, I'm just gonna push this grommet into the firewall to make a hole for this to pass through, since we don't wanna drill into that grommet. So we've got these 4 clips that we're gonna push the tabs in. And then now we have a gap that we can get our wire through. So I'm just gonna push that in, get it as far in there as I can. That's gonna make it easier to find when we go underneath the dash. So now we're back under the dash in the driver's seat. We're gonna reach up to the right of the steering column, find our connector, and we're just gonna pull it through and leave it to the side for now.
Now next we're gonna get our main wire harness run on the interior. So I'm gonna pop off this panel underneath of our radio and everything. So take a 7mm socket to remove that screw. And you just have that on the driver's side, there isn't one on the passenger side. So now we're just gonna pull straight towards us. We're just gonna slide that out of place. So now we're gonna start running our wire harness in the interior. Now every connector is labeled. So the 3 that are for the right side, we've got 2 for the door and 1 for the motor. We're gonna throw over towards the passenger side. The 2 connectors for our module are gonna be going near the brake pedal. So then we can just start tucking this wire underneath. I'm gonna go back behind the carpet here. Tucking this under the carpet on the way over to the passenger side. And then with that crossed over, we can reinstall that filler panel. Pop that into place. And then we're gonna take that 7mm screw and thread that back in. And now throw a ratchet on that 7mm socket and tighten down that screw. So now we've got our wires coming out behind the carpet here. We've got our 2 connectors we're gonna plug our module into. We're gonna tuck that right behind the carpet here, behind the brake pedal. Now it's not gonna interfere with the brake pedal because it's far enough back there. So we're gonna tuck that in, and then we have this ground wire that we're gonna run behind the carpet over by where your left foot's gonna sit. Hook that up to ground, and then the rest of our wires that'll go to our doors and our motor. So now this is the wire that we pulled through the firewall. I'm just pulling that out of the way for now. And then this is the connector that's gonna connect to the wire that we ran through the firewall. So we'll pull that down as well. Plug in the 2 connectors into the module. Now I'm gonna take the wire we pulled through the firewall as well. Make sure this isn't running around your accelerator pedal. And plug that connector in. We're gonna take this box and tuck it back behind the carpet. Once again, just making sure it's not gonna interfere with your throttle pedal. I'm gonna flip this so my wires are going down behind the carpet. And then we're just running all of our wires behind the carpet over towards our door. This ground wire is gonna stay to go on this ground. And the wires for our door and motor can just go down towards the door sill. So now once you got everything tucked back behind the carpet and you make sure that none of your pedals are getting interfered with, you can take that clip and put it back onto the stud to hold the carpet in. So push that on there. So now I've got my 3 wires here, the one that's going to the motor and the 2 that are going to the door magnets. So I want to take these underneath my carpet, tuck those up, and then at this grommet right here, we're going to pass our motor connector through. So once again, you can poke a hole through this if you'd like to. For demonstration purposes, I'm just going to pull it out of place and tuck my connector down through there. And then my next 2 wires, I'm just going to run back underneath my trim panels. The shorter one that's going to the front door, I'm going to cross over here. We'll connect our magnet and then run it up. This one, I'm just gonna tuck under our panel and run towards the back. So now we're gonna be installing our magnet switches. This is gonna go about a 1/2 inch below the striker right here. Sit right there, and then we're gonna tuck it up under this weather seal down to our connector. Now these are all labeled. This is the left rear door. So I'm gonna plug that into the connector that's running back towards the back door. And we'll just lay that down into the back seat for now. It's gonna be the same exact process as this one. So now I'm gonna grab the left front door. I'm gonna come over here, I'm gonna peel my double-sided tape. I'm gonna stick that down about a 1/2 inch below the latch. And then we're gonna run this wire straight to our weather strip. I'm gonna pull that back, tuck it around and into that gap. Now I'm just gonna disconnect that connector so we can get it around the weather strip. Plug that back in. Keep tucking it down into place. And then replace your weather seal. And now you can repeat this process for mounting your magnet on your other 3 doors. Now, once we have all of our door switches mounted, the last thing we need to do up in this driver's side front is to connect our ground wire to this ground right here, and then we can start replacing all of our trim panels. So take a 10mm socket and remove the nut on this ground. Slide your ground wire on. Thread that nut back on and tighten that down. So now we're gonna put all of our trim panels back. We've got these 2 metal clips that go into the holes up front. You have to push that in first, and then we can clip all the clips at the bottom into these brackets. And then we can get the trim piece for the side of the seat. We've just got all these little tabs that go down into the holes, and we'll just press it straight down once we have it all lined up. Now you can go ahead and reassemble the interior panels on your other 3 doors. So now we're back in the engine bay. We're gonna run our wire over to the battery so that we can hook that up. Now there's not really much here that we can zip tie to get this wire to the other side, staying away from the engine, anything hot and moving. So I've got these zip tie clips. These are just gonna stick on to our cowl here. I can put it on the bottom to keep it a little bit cleaner, and we'll use that to run our wire over. So we just put our zip tie through the holes, just like that. Peel the backing off of that double-sided tape. And I'm just gonna get my wire in the zip tie, just to make it a little bit easier. And just stick it down under the cowl. Pull your slack. Close up your zip tie and cut the excess off of your zip tie. And when I pull this over, I'm just gonna do the same thing on the other side here. So now I'm just gonna do that same thing over here.
So we've got to pop this cover off of our battery. We've got a tab over here and a tab over here. Press in on both of them, and then you can just lift up. We're gonna be loosening up this 13mm nut so we can slide our connector underneath of it. So I'm just gonna route this down around the back of the battery. I'm gonna go underneath of the tie down. Now I'll take a 13mm socket to loosen up that nut. And I'll slide in my connector. I'm gonna go underneath of this existing one. And then snug that down. And then we're just gonna run it out the same path that that red wire is going and reinstall our cover. So now we're gonna mount the magnet to the door that's gonna communicate with the switch that we installed on the door jamb. So we're gonna come about a 1/2 inch below this bolt. This is where the center of that latch would be. That's where the bottom bolt of it would be. So we're gonna put that right around here. So peel off that double-sided tape. Stick that down. Do the same thing on your other 3 doors. So now I've got the connector that's running down through the floor and the connector for the motor linkage. So we're gonna connect that together, and I'm gonna tuck this up over the body mount, around this mount, up and out of the way. And now we need to get this mount lowered so that we can install our side step. So we're gonna go put that fuse back on the wire going to the battery, open the door, and this will swing down. So now we're back at our battery. We're gonna reinstall our inline fuse. Once we have that in, we can go and open the driver door, which will swing down that linkage, and we can mount our side step. Now, if you'd like to, once you open the door and that linkage slides down, you can come back and pull this inline fuse back out so that you can shut the door to do the side step. It's really just up to you. Plug that in and then just tuck that down and out of the way. So now we're finally ready to mount our side step and wrap this up. We've got these 3 brackets that are gonna be going into the slots on our 3 linkages. So we're gonna lay that into place, get those centered up. You can use a small pick to go up through the hole and move it back and forth to get the hole lined up. Now, one thing to note is when these retract, this whole linkage is gonna come up this way. So we wanna mount this a little bit further back than this mud flap to give it room to come up and not knock our mud flap off when we're closing this up. So now underneath our side step, we've got our metal bracket that we can move back and forth to line up our bolt holes. And then I'm using a 5mm Allen socket to thread in that bolt and lock washer. And then I'm gonna thread the bolts in on the other 2 brackets as well, just in case we need to lift this up to readjust it. I'm not gonna tighten this one down first, we won't be able to do that. Now before you fully tighten everything down, if you want to, you can either close your door or put that fuse back in and then close your door. To pull this up, make sure it's even on the back and the front, make sure it's not gonna hit your mud flap, and then come back and tighten it down. Repeat on your other 2 brackets and repeat the process on the other side. So that'll wrap up this review and install of the Barricade Access Power Running Boards for your 2019 and newer Silverado 1500 Crew Cab. Thank you for watching, and for all things Silverado, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.